as mentioned before, this week is Mental Health Awareness Week, and a topic close to all of our hearts, of course. And to mark it, we carried out an exclusive survey asking men what is most affecting their mental health right now. Almost a quarter told us their mental health had declined over the last year. Of those, money concerns came top, with 20% admitting to worrying about finances. Perhaps not surprising, let's not forget, given the cost of living crisis. Also at the top of the list were health worries and fears for the future. Mike, those are interesting findings, aren't they?
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I think one thing that jumps out for me the most is worrying about other people's health. My dad's had Parkinson's for 20 years, which I've talked about quite a bit, and I've got my golf day at the end of the week to try and raise money for Cure Parkinson's. But I think there's always that stage where your parents stop looking after you, and then it flips back, and you know, then the worry if anything happens to my mum, or how that relationship's going to go. So it's, plus if you add in now with rugby's going through a bit of a change through everything that's been going around in terms of the mental side and concussion and what that leads to. Steve Thompson, who I've talked to a few times over the last week, you know, early onset dementia. So that's the more thing that jumps out at me is sort of health, and you know, playing the sport that I played. Is any of that going to ever show on me, or do I? And then it's quite being proactive to go and actually check. I know that Ronan's on that. Ronan? Ronan,
You'd be mistaken. I might not be Ronan Keating, but yes, I can sing.
But his life is a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We're here all week. Hello.
But Ronan you've talked a lot about that. So yeah, it's more having.
Would you go and get tested, Mike?
Yes.
Would you go and have a CT scan and an MRI to see if you have got anything in there?
I think it's important. There is a lot of ex-pros now that are doing that to try and put a bigger picture together.
And just so people know, it's because of the amount of concussions that rugby players have that can have an effect on the brain.
More in subconcussive blows and how that all reacting. You know, the whole protocols have changed, but yeah, it's mainly just making sure you're well. Obviously, you've been talking about your yearly checkup.
Yeah, I think, look, I think there's a real problem still. One of the things that men just don't do, we don't like going to the doctors. We don't. And
we kind of have that, it'll be all right.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be all right attitude.
Exactly. But I'm always shocked because, you know, growing up, you know, in my house, when I was young, I kind of grew up seeing, you know, my dad with no hair. He'd gone through 2 brain tumours. And that had a kind of a different effect on me, where it made me so aware of, like, you know, I never want to be in that position. You know, I do those yearly check-ups of going. But you think that someone, you know, and I can say this because I'll call him out on TV, my dad, like, you know, my dad's still one of those people that is scared to go to the doctor. You know, if he's got something wrong, he'd rather not go. You know, it's understandable given what he's been through, but I still think, you know, it's important, you know, you kind of pushing that kind of message to guys to go out there and get checked. It's something that I do, as I say, yeah, once a year.
It's strange times, though, isn't it? Because we've come out of a pandemic, you know, 2 years of being locked up, pretty much. And then we come out of it, and we've got the fuel crisis. We've got the energy crisis, which is the fuel crisis. The energy crisis, we'll just umbrella it under one.
Yeah.
And then we've got a war in Ukraine, and it's like, come on.
Yeah.
You know, this is we're just taking punches. That's what it feels like, doesn't it? You know what I mean, Johannes? Like, it's constantly worries from... You may have worries within your own 4 walls, but not only that, you've got worries coming from everywhere else as well.
Nobody prepares you for that as well, isn't it? Growing up, I mean, like Mike said, like my mum is my biggest worry as well. And I've had to find a carer right now back home in South Africa. You know, and that is just part of growing up, and that is one... I think we should talk about it as men, you know, to say... Like, I've got a mother, and my sister is never there. I mean, how do you look after a mother as a boy? You, as a man? And I think that's hard. But
didn't your mum encourage you to go and sit down in front of someone and get therapy? Just so that she could see something wasn't, I wouldn't say right, but wasn't you.
It wasn't right.
It wasn't right, okay.
It wasn't right, and parents always know. And I thank God for my mum, because she's always given me that, you know, the freedom to do whatever it is that I need to do. But I thought I didn't need therapy for the longest of time. I thought I was fine without it until I sat down in that chair and I spoke to my courage coach, my therapist. And I'm just so grateful for it, because coming out of it now, things make sense. And I'm able to compartmentalize and say, okay, this is what I'm dealing with now, this is what I'm dealing with now. And he's given me the tools. you know, to navigate in this world. So I would encourage people to seek therapy, to seek advice.
But sorry, Mike, it gave you the tools to deal with whatever situation you were in, but did those tools enable you to see something coming? To say, oh, I'm feeling that again.
Absolutely, and that's what therapy does. Right. You understand what I'm saying? It puts you in a position where you can be able to handle things as they come. You understand? And yeah,
I think it's exactly what you're saying, and what you're literally the words that just came out of your mouth, it was so perfect, and it is the reason why I'm, you know, this year, in terms of what I would like to, you know, look at and point towards and kind of shine a light on is, I don't understand still to this day, and I think it needs to be done, is put mental health on the curriculum, put it within biology. You know, those tools that you're talking about there, we can give them to kids, you know, for as young as 5, from primary school all the way up to 16, so that when they reach, you know, whatever age in their life, there will be a point where you go through some form of depression, you know, you're low or not feeling yourself. You have those tools already there.
That's a great idea.
But it is, but it's one of those things. But it doesn't make sense. You know, I learn about your respiratory system, you learn about your heart and what that can do.
But no one tells you what's going on between your ears.
No, exactly, and that can be.
Yeah,
you know,
they always tell you how important it is.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that is something.
Isn't that weird?
That needs to
bizarre.
happen.
So again, me as they have self-awareness stuff going on, but again, whether it's in an actual, it's not a curriculum-based thing. Whereas
it needs to be in an exam. You need to be learning that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Mental Health Awareness Week, the theme this time around is loneliness, and I think everyone has been lonely in some way, shape, or form, and at some different stage of their lives. But Johannes, you found it difficult when you moved to the UK, didn't you?
Yeah. Surrounded by all these people, obviously, and which was lovely. Believe me, I found a family now. But 4 years ago when I arrived, I knew nobody. You know, it was starting from over. And I found that very difficult. Like I was saying to my friends back home, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even go out to a club and really have a proper down, because I just don't know anybody. So for 4 years, I've just been like, can you be my friend? And just trying to build that tribe and relationships. But it's my profession as well. You know, I'm always on the road. I'm always hustling so that I can send money back home so that everybody else is okay. Do you understand what I'm saying?
But you know what is amazing about that, Johannes, is you came over and then you're on Strictly Come Dancing, the #1 entertainment show in the UK, and you couldn't find a friend? What kind of cologne were you wearing, my brother?
You just want an opportunity to connect with people authentically.
Yeah, you know, I get that. I understand
you know?
that. Yeah, absolutely, of course I know. But what a vehicle! What a vehicle for you to be involved with. You know, when you're feeling these really difficult emotions, and then you're put at the forefront in front of a national audience.
Yeah.
That must have been really tough.
Darling, and I didn't understand how far and wide it reaches in this country. But that was always the daunting thing, to say, I always found myself alone, and yet I was surrounded by all these people.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And yeah, it's
And as always on Loose Men, I apologise for cutting you off, but we could go on forever.
Yeah.
We could go on forever about this. But let's just quickly wrap up loneliness, because we talked about it before we came on the show in the prep for today's show. We talked about being able to communicate with your friends and allowing your friends in and letting them know how you're feeling by having those conversations and making it easy for them to approach you.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree, but I also think, you know, us as guys here, you know, we all have mates that we just expect them to come to us and talk to us if they've got a problem. When realistically, that needs to change. It needs to be, every single one of us should look through our phone book and go, who do I really not know that much about? You know, could they be going through something? You know, be that person, that hero that you can step forward and say, do you know what, I'm gonna push and I want to know.
All right, so after the show, now that you're not lonely anymore, we're going for a down. All right, we are going out, Johannes Radaby. You are taking us to a dance floor near the studio.